Alright, welcome to the day 6 recap of the Chinese tournament. Today we've got 6 games for you. Uh, Before we go into them, let me remind you of the standings. Zhao Ti standing on the top, basically almost certainly won the group. Maybe if he loses his last series against the Chosen One, then there might be some shenanigans that might happen. But he is like almost certain to win the group at this point. Sif is secured also his advancement to the next stage, to the top 8, and for the advancement to the top 8 are going to be fighting Small Juan in third, Ju Qianyu in fourth, and the two people at 0 and 3, Yanosuke and Chosen One, trying to get back and put some wins on the board finally. And we start with a pretty important series between Smoljuan and Juchenyu. Oh no, uh, let me. No, this is actually going to be Chosen One and Yonosuke. This is basically an elimination match. They have to pretty much win that series and then win their next series in order to have a chance at the top 8. But if they do, they're most certainly going to be in there, so at least that's some compensation, right? And Yonosuke is up 2 and 1 in this series and has to just win with his Paladin, which has not won a game in this tournament. Let me remind you that. The Mage from the Chosen One also struggling, and the Mage has not won the game for him, but at least it's won some games in the tournament. So, let's get to it. The Drank Paladin, this is a deck that we've seen a lot in the past, in like May and whatnot, but has not been very popular in the recent times, and there is a good reason why. It's just not very good. He does coin the Aegis of Light, I think the spell is called. The one that summons this after the nerfed random 2-cost minion and gives it taunt. And he gets a free 5, but that free 5 does discount a minion in the opponent's hand with the Death Rattle by 2. But that is only a concern if the minion would die, which it doesn't look like it from now, and the Chosen One's hand does not seem to do much of anything at all at this point. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't play this astrobiologist at any point. I feel like we might have wanted to be able to spend our mana here, but I guess we can do that with the pupil. Finding another hidden objects, being able to progress the quest even more. But still, no real way to clear this minion. And there's also a amalgam on the board and another dragon. Yonosuke drawing a lot of cards while doing all this, is looking off to a pretty decent start. I'm assuming his giants are relatively cheap at this point. A lot of holy spells he play. He coined the spell. He played 2 divine brews probably. Yeah, there's been a lot of spells being played for sure. I think they're gonna cause like I think the 8/8s are going to come down next turn with this Libram of Clarity drawing at least one. And the sea shanty will come down the turn after, and the mage really needs to find something to get off the ground quickly here. And it does not really look like it's gonna get there. I think the quest is only at like 4, maybe. I'm assuming this is 6 with the hidden objects. I don't think it's complete yet. And that speaks trouble because mage does not have a 0 mana ability to progress the quest. So he's not going to be able to play the weapon and then play the Raptor Herald. Yonosuke actually top decks the one of the giants, Flickering Light bots, which allows him to get both of them down on this turn. And I don't think the quest mage has any outs from here. It's double giant on 5. This is definitely the good side of or the strong side of the paladin. I don't know about the good one uh, that we remember. And yeah, that's just it. I don't know if Yonosuke is dead on board. It's pretty close. And that discover from Raptor Herald is going to have to be a really good one. if he wants to have a chance at staying alive in the series. He will clear the free freeze to get some damage off the board. And Yonosuke does not exactly have lethal here. He only has 22, so he needs 9 more. Not that easy to do, but there is a Linessa and Story of Galvadon waiting for the next turn. And Chosen One will need something special. Or he just goes for the Story of Galvadon now for the 3 out of 8 lethal with Wind Fury. Does not hit it, but still sends his opponent to 5. And has that weapon swing active for the next turn, being just 1 damage of lethal, which could be completed with O Manager. Chosen One does go for the weapon and the Tidepools Click to start things off. Does not really find anything of large impact in this one. Finds a Chalice and a counterspell. He decides to go for a freeze instead of going for the Alter Time. Does find a Rising Wave, which is really, really strong here. But he will need to go for this Raptor too. And does find a Taunt, but the Taunt is, well, not good enough. I'm not sure if he got this pick off, but he does have an elusive 8-13 Taunt in the way, which might be good enough, but there is an O Manager pickup from the top for the Linessa. Surely we can find a way to find lethal here. Oh, right, there is a counterspell in play. So that will delay the damage coming through, but no, actually it will not. The O Manager hits face, and this is how Yonosuke found his way to defeating the quest mage and staying in the battle for the top 8. Now we will go to our second series of the day. We actually are going to start with this, and this is Juchenyu's Aviana Druid versus Small Juan's Death Knight. They are battling basically for the third place and for a guaranteed advancement here. If Juchenyu wins this game, he is almost certain to advance to the top 8. There is a Dirty Rat in Small Juan's hand, which against an Aviana Druid is particularly effective, because if you do hit the Aviana out of the Dirty Rat, then you will just win the game on the spot. And Juchenyu, I'm not sure he's going to have many ways to play around it, because you have to draw your Aviana. Sometimes you can draw it and play it in the same turn, but it is extremely difficult to do that, to have the mana and also stay on board to actually do that and contest the game. Small Juan decides to go for the Dirty Rat immediately, trying to play around Coin Innervate Aviana, I assume. Does not hit the Aviana, no Aviana in hand for Juchenyu. Instead, Juchenyu finds, tries to search for it, finds it off the Story of Barnabas. I'm going to assume that this is the only Dirty Rat in Small Juan's deck. So there was no danger of that happening again. So the Aviana will come down, and it will come down with a wave shaping to be able to play, to be able to fetch and possibly play a legendary that we get from it. The legendary that we got is Tindril Sage Swift, the one that has a Death Rattle to deal 4 AoE damage to the enemy board if it's killed on opponent's turn, and 1 if it's killed on your turn. And Small Juan will probably just have to trade into it, as you don't want to be getting attacked for 4 repetitively and then take the 4 AoE damage anyway at the end. Does have to leave up the Aviana, which is not the end of the world, because Juchenyu's turn is not that great here. But Juchenyu does get a playable game, which is the important part, sort of. I mean, the Death Knight is still quite a bit in control, but if Juchenyu can pick up a brochure off the top or something like that, like this, then he would be back in it. Unfortunately, these legendaries are not very good. Merifera would resurrect any 8-cost or more minions that died, but none of them happened to die, and Bralma Searstone only gives +1 damage to your elementals, of which Juchenyu doesn't have any. So not very good legendaries, and even not very big statted legendaries. So that will not be particularly useful. Have some Draenei synergy for Smoljuan while he's just continues clearing the legendaries. I think that was, what, 3 of them already that he's gone through. Juchenyu does find an Opu off the top, which will be excellent on this board, actually full clearing it. A little bit of, I don't really even want to call that an ordering mistake, but you're always clicking the tree, so I guess it is an ordering mistake. He could have had a reborn on this Opu had he clicked first on the Amir Drasil. And you do have to put at least something on the board, even though you're scared of corpse explosion. So he does decide to put the Gromash, try to maintain the pressure, plays the Macpharodon too, because as useful as it is for the AoE, you do just want to push the 6 face damage on the board. And Smoljuan doesn't actually have particularly good options, so he just decides to stall into Ziliax here and kills the 1/3 just in case any Death Rattle minion pops up. There is also a Lumia in Juchenyu's hand, which is a 6 mana 9/9 usually, a Paladin legendary, that whenever a hero takes damage on a turn, it becomes immune for the rest of the turn. Which is not very good in the situation where you're trying to kill your opponent, so I'm assuming that will not hit play. But we do find Eraza the Resealed, a priest legendary that will shuffle any minions that died this game into your deck, back into your deck, and set their cost to 0. Or shuffle 5 minions that died this game. Excuse me for that mistake. And I think there were less than 5 minions that died, so we could play the Raza right now to guarantee shuffling back the Aviana. There is a Steam Cleaner in the opponent's deck, which I would be a little worried about. But I think it's still really, really worth to just play the Raza here, try to get another Aviana. We can even play the Brochure, try to fetch it back from the deck. But Juchenyu decides to develop the Lumia instead, which, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. He does kill both the poison minions, so that this 14/14 is a threat. But it will get answered here by Smoljuan. It is hard to imagine that the Death Knight will have an answer, arguably, to this 14/14. But, I mean, there is a Lumia on the board, right? So it's not even that, like, the board is not even that threatening. Yes, you can take 14. But do we really care? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure that we really do. And surely you played a Raza now, right? Macpharodon died. There was a random free drop that died. There's probably like 7 to 8 minions in the pool for Raza, right? They're free from Amir Drasil, and there were like 5 legendaries, I want to say. So there's still a pretty good chance to get the Aviana. He decides to draw with Sleep Under the Stars first, but there's only 2 cards. And then he goes for this Finley, and I'm not even sure that he's going to be able to get this turn off. There was an Amir Drasil in that hand, which is really nice. Picks up a Zai, incredible too, which that card copies the leftmost and the rightmost card from your hand, which opens up a really good possible turn here for Juchenyu to be able to play this swipe, get rid of the Sleep Under the Stars with refreshing 3 times, then play the Final Frontier, use the Zai to copy both the Raza and the Final Frontier, and then play some Razas, play the Final Frontier minions. Picks up either a Tarantus or a Neptulon, probably a Neptulon, since that minion does have Rush, so it's really good at removing things. But he does not play the swipe plus the Sleep Under the Stars first, which would allow him to copy this Raza. He decides to copy the swipe instead, which seems like just a missed opportunity for the most part. And like, I feel like you have to play the Raza at this point. It feels so wrong not to, because the chances of getting another Aviana are getting smaller and smaller, and you just don't actually have anything to do anymore if you don't get another Aviana. It is not the first 5, it is random 5. So he's gonna go for it now, but he just doesn't hit it. He hits 2 Neptune hands, Murmy, Lumia, and I don't remember what the last one was, honestly. But nothing really that important, and he is just going to lose the game if this board gets cleared. Which there is a Wanderer's Wand in Small Juan's hand at this point, which will be pretty likely to find a Ceaseless Expanse, or... Wait, is there actually another answer than the Ceaseless? I don't know that there is. Maybe Elise could do something, but this does find the Ceaseless, and that is basically game. Juchenyu just concedes outright. Does not close down the series right now. And the Aviana Druid would lose to Small Juan's Cyclorogue as well, which takes us to this game 5 of this very same series, where the Aviana Druid, after losing 2 games, has to go against the best deck in the game, the Discover Hunter. Juchenyu does have a pretty good hand with the Wave Shaping and the Trial Mix, which is arguably a pretty questionable keep, but the Wave Shaping does find him the Aviana, so this will be a turn-free Aviana against the Hunter, giving him a pretty good fighting chance. The Hunter did keep the Grifta, and he has a double sister hand, including a Sylvanas, which will allow him to clear quite a bit of board here in the early stages, even if that is deemed necessary. Also finds a Rat Trap of this Scarab Keychain, which does usually come in pretty handy against the Druid. The Druid does find the Ungoro Brochure, one of the most important cards to draw your legendary minions. Finding the Grifta and the Fandral, both buffed, out of range of the Sylvanas. But Small Juan does find the Steel from the Grifta that he kept, which makes it really difficult for Juchenyu to actually play the game at this point. Because Juchenyu's game plan is to play a few large minions and try to hit the opponent in the face with them and win the game. But you can't just play one large minion, because that gets frozen, that gets taunted by encounters, etc. So you have to play multiple, and that's just gonna play into Steel really, really hard. Also does summon the Rat for the opponent, because the cards are just... it's just not very possible to play around that. And let's decide to clear it, but that also means he's not able to push much face damage at all. And this Blob of Tar will be extremely unfortunate as a hit, since it will clean up Juchenyu's minions with the Steel. And there is a poisoned minion on the board now that he also has to address. Additionally, this board sets up the Sylvanas with the Illyria quite well for the 6 AoE clear. Which, yes, you can't really afford to play around, because it's just such a specific hand to have both sisters for the Hunter. Which, yeah. And from now, it's just so hard to play the game for Juchenyu, because there is also a Tidepool Pupil on the far left side of Small Juan's hand, which does have a Steel from Grifta inside of it. And there is a Rangari Scout that will get him another Steel. So you have to play around double Steel. At 16 HP, basically just like threatening to kill you, right? Which is really bad. Juchenyu, I think, chooses to play around the 1 Steel, clearing his board instead. But you're just giving the opponent time. Like, if the Steel is in the Pupil, then that just gives the opponent time to find the Scout to be able to duplicate that Steel over and over again. So I am not sure how much of a fan am I of that. Yeah, Small Juan is just going to freeze the 9/7. And here Juchenyu has an active Razadir, so that could do something funny with discarding the card that has the Steel inside. Goes for the Discover first, finds a Word of Earth which gives him the Yor. He would have probably preferred a Taunt, but the Yor does gain a noticeable amount of life. but that is not going to be enough, as the scout with the pupil will come down, steal 2 minions from Zhu Jianyu, and go for, I think, 1 over lethal with stealing the taunt and the 9/7. And that will conclude the series. Small Juan goes to 3-1 score, basically secures his entrance to the top 8, and maybe even getting a second spot, which we'll find out in the last series of the day of Small Juan versus Sif. But for now, wait, why am I on this series? I did not mean to. Oh no, this is not actually Chosen One versus Zhao Ti. This is at the bottom, Zhu Qianyu's Quest Mage versus Chosen One's Paladin. Oh no, it's not Chosen One. This is Yamasuke's Paladin, which the text will be updated in just a second. And this was the only matchup that the Paladin was able to win this entire tournament. So very fortunate for Yonosuke to hit this one, I think, because all of the other matchups are just extremely unfavored for the Paladin. It's just really hard, going to be really hard to win. And this is the Decider series, where Zhu Qianyu and Yonosuke both have to win to get their 4th spot in the top 8. Yonosuke's hand looks pretty good. There is a weapon, there isn't a Divine Brew, but there is a Resistance Aura which will disrupt Zhu Qianyu's turns. Does not decide to play it yet, and allows for the coin alter time from Zhu Qianyu, but Zhu Qianyu's hand just does not look like it's going to be discovering that much. At least not enough to complete the quest for now. I think his quest is at like either 2 or 3 out of 7 at this point. The Resistance Aura will be quite disruptive too. Not as disruptive as Yonosuke would like it, since the Astrobiologist pickup is going to make him let him progress the quest even more, and the mage does clean up the minion with both of his copies of Storage Scuffle, which are the only removal in the deck, or only removal that starts in the deck. You can obviously discover into more. Yeah, Zhu Qianyu pretty much has to pick up an alter time from this, whatever it's called. From this Astrobiologist. Just because you have to complete your quest to win this game. And he does complete the quest, I think, this turn, with both the alter times and both the alter time discovers and a magic trick that came from the alter time. But he will face a angry Lunessa with an O manager coming down. So this is 5 mana to work with on a Lunessa turn for Yonosuke. A lot of these buffs, or this Divine Brews and the buffs will come down, and actually a Giant will also come down here for Yonosuke, which is a scary thing to face against a drunk Paladin. Zhu Qianyu basically needs to find an answer right now, because this Lunessa is really, really hard to leave up. I think what I would do here is probably go for a weapon and double spell discover and just pray that you're gonna find an answer to the Lunessa. He decides on taunts instead, which will prevent damage, but it will not prevent this Lunessa from being on the board. And there is a double sunscreen in Yonosuke's hand too, which you know about. So that will make a 14 HP Lunessa, which I don't really know what's your plan on to kill a 14 HP Lunessa. And there is also a Sea Shanty. We have a Wind Fury 8-8, which will actually push a tiny bit of damage, or even more than a tiny bit, sending Zhu Qianyu to 8. And now this turn has to basically pull off a miracle. Goes looking for a Blizzard first from the Scrappy Scavenger, does not find it. Finds just 2 minions instead. And now finds a Rising Waves, which will only do 2 damage because we played a 1/1. Whether that was a mistake or not, that's hard to say. Just because it is so hard to judge these turns. The way that with how complicated they are. He does basically find a turn that left everything but Lanessa up, but forgot to attack with the Kern, so did not clear the A date, and then just conceded because because there was a lethal on the board. And if we, yeah, and this is a quick replay of what happened on that turn, where this Cairn is allowed to attack. So thanks to rolling a 5 attack lifesteal, he would be at 13, and if this Cairn attacked the A-Date, that would clear it with the Rising Waves, leaving only a 5 attack Lunessa on the board. And actually knowing Yonosuke's hand, he would have been alive, but that did not happen, and Yonosuke goes up 1-0 to the next game. We missed the mulligans for this game a little bit during the live stream, but that is okay. We have a Cyclo Rogue versus Quest Mage, and there is already a Platysaur on the board, a weapon in hand for Yonosuke, looking quite a bit scary already. The Platy will get removed thanks to the Chalice Discover for Juchenyu. Or was it not a Discover? Maybe it was just in hand. I missed it. It finds a removal spell off Glyph too, which is quite nice. It's quite a good removal spell. And here Yonosuke has a decision, or whether he is going to swing this weapon, try to go for an everything must go turn this turn, or whether he's just gonna play the Mauler and pass, which he ultimately decides to do, which is probably significantly better, as he is going to be able to get more draw unlocked in the next turn, especially with the preparation pickup off the top. And as long as he draws the everything must go, he's going to be able to play it. He also gets the eat the imp pickup, which will end up bringing him up to 9 cards played, and he gets both everything must goes. Fortunately for Juchenyu, the minions that he got as the random 4 draws were not that large. So there will be a game to be played here still, but it looks a little awkward for Juchenyu still. Like, there's still a lot of damage on that board that he will have to answer. And you kind of have to pick up a Discover here too, just so that you don't explode, or just so that you can get the quest up and not explode before the quest happens. Yeah, but it's not like Cyclo Rogue is going to stop, right? This is an 8-card hand from Cyclo Rogue, so that's almost certainly doing something. It's just a question of what that something will be. He does play double Web Weaver, All Manager, finds the Incendious, and coin Incendious against a board deck such as Quest Mage is going to be really difficult for it to manage, just because there is already a board staring down at you, and the opponent is also going to make this threat that pushes 10 face damage and also clears any board you make on the following turn. Right, so the Talnos Blizzard does come down and clears the board for Yonosuke, which is really strong at this point. And the Phoenixes cannot come down with the Incendious, so this is not really a high damage board. But there's 10 damage in the deck, and the asteroids, like whatever asteroids will be drawn later, with possibly a Mauler being played after the eruptions have been drawn, will be a problem here for Juchenyu. He doesn't even pick up a taunt or a large minion from the Raptor. And that's just a lot of problems, right? Like, you just can't really deal with the situation. As long as Yonosuke draws any eruptions here, it might like actually just be lethal. A little surprising that he does not decide to play the Talnos before eating the imp there. he finds the eruption from a different, from, I think that was a map? I'm not sure though. And he also finds the preparation of the top, allowing him to play a Wisp and another eruption to clear that board and even push some more damage. Plays a Platysaur, and that ends up being lethal actually for the Cycle Rogue, showing off the power of that deck and going up to a 2-0 lead. And I think you can probably predict the outcome of this last game that is going to happen. This is actually Ju Chenyu's Aviana Druid. He decided to switch it up, did not want to go down 0-3 on Quest Mage, and decides to give a shot to his beloved Aviana Druid, which he is the only person to bring to this tournament. But Shaman Sand is just very aggressive. There is a pair of 5/4s, and then there is another pair of 5/4s coming down next turn. Ju Chenyu does have an Aviana on free, but the problem is there's gonna be 20 power on board on this turn, and you've already took 10. You can clear one by trading the Aviana, but you don't even have a way to draw a legendary, right? You can double shoot with Astral Phaser, try to win a 1 and 3, leaving only 5 power on the board up. But then there is gonna be a Muradin coming down, and if you miss, that's gonna be 10 power on the board. Then there is also gonna be a Muradin behind it. It's just so difficult to come back from, like, even in the good case scenario. He does not get the good scenario. He does miss, and he's gonna be at 10 on turn 5. There comes the Angora Brochure, and he finds the Great Dracorex to clear the board. The problem is, he's still dying. As the weapon is going to push 8 this turn, it's gonna push another 6 next turn. And there is a Furious Fouls in Yonosuke's hand. So that represents lots of damage. 12 of it, in fact, and Ju Chenyu is only at 8, which will not be enough. Yonosuke, very happy about this, clearly, manages to come back from starting the day 0-3 to clutch in, to find a way into the top 8, and he will go up against, I believe it is Tianming tomorrow. Yes, and this is, I wanted to show the series in full to actually show a little bit of how much of a disadvantage Ju Chenyu was playing at with the decks that he decided to bring. Yeah, the Ju Chenyu decks were just not good. Like, the lineup just did not function very well, and that kind of brought him down in this tournament, not being able to qualify with how good of a player he is. He did make some questionable plays as well. I think that was a little bit less of an issue. So the Group B has concluded with Zhao Ti going cleanly 5-0. Then off camera, in the game that I didn't show, Small Juan did beat Sif in the last series to take the second place. And Sif gets the third place with his Peddler DH unique lineup, and will be going up against actually Lovestorm, who decided to pick him tomorrow, and Yonosuke will be going up against Tianming. The full pairings for tomorrow are as follows. We have the first match of the day. Lovestorm is going to go up against Sif. Then Small Juan will go up against Yanming, Xiaoti versus Tri-Spear, and Tianming versus Yonosuke. This one starts 2 hours earlier than the regular broadcast that we have for now. So 6 a.m. CET, 1 p.m. Beijing time, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. And this time, you guys check out Gamer RVG's channel for the start of the live coverage, then we'll switch to Mac Banter phase later. And I will obviously cover this one up for you as well, trying to show as many of these top 8 matches. Then there will be also a semifinals and a grand final, which we will also cover the finals probably. But that one is less important, as the winners of those 4 matches, of those 4 top 8 matches, will go to the World Championship on the 18th of December, 18th to 21st of December, I believe. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow with the recap of the top 8. Uh, have a wonderful rest of your day, and bye. Catch you next time.